Okay, folks, today we are continuing equations. We're just going to throw a lot of stuff at you, a lot of variations. These are multi-step equations. This is when we use all of our algebra tools, distribution, combining like terms and inverse operations. Skip the warm-up like we usually do. So sometimes you will see fractions. Don't be afraid of fractions, right? Just deal with it, right? So 1/4, I like to think of this in terms of dollars, right? There are 4 quarters in a dollar, right? Or 4 quarters in a whole, right? And 1/4 is 25 cents. You could also say 1 divided by 4, right? It's not going to go in, 4 is not going to go into 1, so you got to put, a decimal in there. So it'd be 0, right? 4 goes into 10 twice. So you bring that over. 4 times 2 is 8. You subtract it to get to 2, right? And then you bring another 0 down, and 4 goes into 25 times. And 4 times 5 is 20, and you don't get a remainder. Okay, so that's 0.25. That's where that comes from. If you do long division, right, you should be able to do long division. But if it's like, if you're in a crunch, then you can just be like, I don't know, 1 divided by 4, 0.25. Super easy with a calculator, okay? Now, same thing. Actually, let's finish up with the fractions first. 4 goes into 5 how many times? So let's see, we will put the 5 here, put the 4 here. Actually, nope, reverse, sorry. 5 goes into 4 how many times? So, again, we got to do that decimal, because it's right there. So 5 will go into 48 times. 5 times 8 is 40. So you get 0.8. Okay. Again, just, do long division, right? That's really the way to convert fractions into decimals. Of course, you also have a calculator that can do it. Now, to convert decimals to fractions, you got to know how your places, right? So when you go to this place right here, it's a tenth. So it's 5 tenths, right? It's the first decimal place after the decimal on the right is the tenth. So 5 tenths, we'll simplify that by dividing by 5, and we get to 1/2. Okay, so 0.5 is the same as 1/2. 0.125, so tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So then it's going to be 125 thousandths right there. We can simplify this. You want to figure out the biggest number that'll go into both of them. I know that 25 will go into, well, they both end in zeros, so let's start with 5. So let's divide by 5. I'm just using my calculator for this. 125 divided by 5 gets us 25 on top. And then 1,000 divided by 5 on the bottom is 200. And I know 25 will go into both of these, so then I'll divide by 25 on top and the bottom. That's going to give me 1 on top, and then 200 divided by 25 is going to be 8. I know that just because of my brain, but we use the calculator and we get 8 right there. So that's 1/8. Okay. Now, multiplying fractions, right? So when you have fractions or decimals, right, you're going to think of it as division, right? So, think of it as multiplication for the numbers on top, and then division for the numbers on the bottom, right? So I'm going to multiply the top with the whole number right here. So 1 times 5 is 5. And then I'm going to divide by the number on the bottom. So multiply here and then divide by this, okay? So multiply here, divide here. So 5 times 1 is 5, divided by 2 is going to give us 2.5. Right, again, I can also do it like this, right? 1/2 is 0.5, and then times 5. It'll just take the answer and give me 2.5. Or you could say, parentheses, 1 divided by 2 times 5. Same thing, okay? 1/2 of 8. I know that's just going to be 4 right off the top of my head, but 8 times 1 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. Now, this. You can also think of this as like, oh, what's half of 8? It's 4. Oh, what's half of 5? It's 2.5. When you get different numbers than 1 in your numerator, that's when it's a little more confusing, because now this actually comes in really handy, because 9 times 2 is 18, divided by 3 is 6. So 2/3 of 9 is 6. If you're going to put this in the calculator, you can take, if we do it like this, where we say 2/3 and then we multiply by 9, we get 6, okay? You could also do 2 divided by 3 times 9 is 6, right? So calculator's your friend right here. 10 times 3 is 30. divided by 5 is 6, right? And again, you can put that in the calculator, right? 3/5 is going to be 0.6 times 10, you know? Okay, now, putting it all together here, this is when we distribute, okay? So we're not solving, we're just using these expressions, right? So half of 6 and half of 8 is going to be 3x minus 4, okay? Again, I could totally put this stuff in the calculator, right? 1/3 of 12 and 1/3 of 3. So I know it's 12 times 1 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3, divided by 3 is 1. Okay, sorry about that. Let me do that again. 12 times 1 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3, divided by 3 is 1. Okay, now I know this is the same thing as 1/4, right? So 1/4 of 16 is 4, and then 1/4 of 4 is 1. Okay, again, I could put this all on the calculator, right? 0.25 times 16. Let's just do that one as a real quick example. Okay, that's 4. Okay, 0.5 is the same as a half, so it's going to give me 7x and 10. Okay, again, calculator's your friend, right? Okay, so when we have variables on both sides of the equation, we got to get the variables on one side. I typically bring them to the left, right? It can work if you bring them to the right. Well, actually, I think this one here we'll bring to the right, maybe. No, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, but if your term here with the variable is positive, you will subtract to cancel it. Okay, and if it's negative, you will add to cancel. Okay, these are the inverse operations, right? So we take this 4x, we're going to subtract it here because it's positive. Line it up there. That's going to give us 2x minus 8 equals 7. I'm going to take this inverse operation. I add it over here to get 2x equals 15. We'll divide by 2, and we get x is 7.5. Okay? 9x plus 3, we're going to do the same thing. This is positive, so I subtract it. All right, it's going to give us 5x plus 3 equals 18. I'll subtract 3. That's inverse operations. I'm using all of my tools here. That's 15. I'll divide by 5. That's the inverse operation of multiplication is division, and I get x is 3. Okay? A little more complicated on this one because we have this negative 9x, but we know that if it's negative, we're going to add to cancel. So I'm going to add 9x on both sides. I end up with 21x minus 6 equals 15. I'm going to add 6. I end up with 21x equals 21. I'll divide by 21. I get x is 1. Okay? All right, now this is when we're kind of taking everything that we got. We got fractions, we got distribution, we got combining like terms, and we got inverse operations right here. Okay, so multiply by a half on both sides. Okay, so I haven't touched the 6x plus 3, so I just bring it down. I know half of 16 is 8. Okay, again, just use the calculator for that, right? 1 divided by 2, that's how you represent a fraction, right? That's 0.5 times 16 gets us to 8, okay? Half of 32 will do the same thing. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5 times 32 gets us to 16, okay? Okay, now, I've got a combining like terms here, and I'm going to take this 8x and bring it to the left. Ooh, yeah. Actually, let's combine these two first. So I've got 6x plus 3 equals 8x plus 13. I don't do inverses right here because they're on the same side of the equal sign, okay? If they're on the same side, you don't do inverses. Let's actually reverse it. Let's go to the right side this time. So I'll subtract 6x here rather than bring the 8x over. The reason I'm going to do that is because this will stay positive. That'll give me a 2x right there. And then I'm left with 3 and then plus 13. Now I will subtract 13 to the other side. And I'll get, what is that, negative 10 equals 2x. I'll divide by 2. And I end up with negative 10 equals x. Nope, not negative 10, negative 5. Because that negative 10 divided by 2, or x equals negative 5. Same thing. Okay. All right, now we got a negative fraction here, but you treat it the same way we do all negatives, right? Negative 1/2 times 20 is going to give us a negative 10x, right? Because half of 20 is 10, and then half of 12 is 6. We got to figure out if this is a positive or negative, whether we're adding or subtracting. Negative times a negative gives us a positive. Okay, we're gonna add these together. That's combining like terms. So negative 10x plus 10 equals 5x minus 15. Now I'm gonna bring this 5x over here. It's positive, so I'm gonna subtract it. That's gonna give us negative 15x plus 10 equals negative 15. My bad, that's actually not negative 15. No, that is negative 15. Oh, wow, this is gonna give us a fraction as an answer. My bad. I meant to do whole numbers for most of these. So we'll subtract 10 right there. Let me make sure that's right. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so negative 15x equals negative 25. And then we'll divide by negative 15. And there's a couple ways we can do this. It's going to be positive because we have two negatives. We can divide the top and the bottom by, divide the top and the bottom by 5. And that's going to give us 5/3. And 5/3 is the same as 1 2/3 right there. So, a couple options there. But anyway, there you go. Thanks, guys.